Hello, my lovelies. I'm Ginny O, the author with no last name, and today is the April 2024 Library Haul. And so today we're going to do things a little differently because not only is this a library haul video, it's a book review video. So this month's themes are middle grade alternatives to Harry Potter. Now, this is something I've taken upon myself to do because of there is a lot of online discourse right now around Rowling being Rowling, I guess, and I really don't want to get into it, but a lot of times they are telling kids to go read other books and, better books. And to me, Harry Potter has some very specific things that made Harry Potter become quite as important as it was. So they often don't put down kind of what sort of books they think that people should be reading. So before we get into the books, I just want to go over really quick some of the stuff that Harry Potter had. So let me grab my Harry Potter book all the way over here. So Harry Potter, we're using Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone or the Philosopher's Stone as our book comp. So what Harry Potter had that I found really important to get young people, as in 3rd and 4th graders, reading was Rowling had a very good voice in this. It wasn't too simple. She uses longer sentences, but it flows really well. And there was just this type of interesting voice that would captivate your imagination. It wasn't clunky or stilted. There is immersion in these books. Rowling, let's just face it, a lot of her world building has big enough holes to plot a Death Star through, but she tells you what you need to know when you need to know it. So there's a lot of kind of like this really great immersion going on, and you're learning things as Harry Potter is learning things. Even if you have to have Hermione at points being the voice of exposition. You'd think Ron would be, but no, it was Hermione. There was a lot of novelty in Harry Potter. Novelty is whimsy, wonder, kind of things that will spark your imagination. It kind of draws you into the world. It makes you go, oh, that's cool, I'd really want to be there, type of thing. And there was a lot of that, especially in Sorcerer's Stone. It didn't start getting kind of grim or dark until later books. And what the novelty did is it drew you along through the book long enough for you to get to the plot. So there was a plot in here, and in the beginning, you're so caught up in the novelty that you're missing where the plot actually kind of starts being seeded into the book. But there was a plot in the book, and you also had this kind of attachment to Harry Potter. So, you met Harry Potter, he lived in a cupboard, which makes you automatically sympathetic to him. He got this letter, and his uncle didn't want him to have it, and you had this whole shenanigans with him in the letter. So you started getting attached to Harry, his 11th birthday, and oh my god, what if he's, now he's a wizard, and what does wizarding world mean? And then at the you go through the plot, and at the end you have a resolution, so you have some sort of satisfaction about Harry Potter's first year at wizarding school. Okay, so very specifically, we're looking for voice, immersion, novelty factor, plot, attachment to the character, and overall satisfaction with the book. All right, which is a lot more longer than ants, but attachment, novelty, tension, and satisfaction. But I'm trying to be kind of more specific, and it has to be a middle grade book with a magical school story, all right? Very, very specific. So I went hunting and I found 7 middle grade books that featured magical schools or magical schooling. And I just want to say that because middle grade is a range, so 8 to 12, I want to call that what? 2nd grade to 4 years later, 6th grade, 2nd to 6th grade, you're going to have a range of writing styles. So I'm going to start with one that I was really looking forward to. This is called Upside Down Magic, and it's from Scholastic. So the back of the book says, "It's never easy when your magic goes wonky." Now the writing style of this book, I would say, is roughly 2nd grade, maybe very early 3rd grade. It's got a very simple sentence structure to it, subject, verb, object type of thing, and it's a lot of, telling. But it is kind of whimsical. The short plot is that the main character, who, remember, I've just read 7 of these, so Nori, her magic is wonky. There's like 5 different types of magic users in this world, and she is a fluxer. And fluxer means that she can change her shape. There's also flamers who can shoot flame. There's flyers who can fly. There's somebody who can go invisible, and then there's one more. People who can tame animals, furries, which was a very unfortunate thing to call that. But as a fluxer, she has a problem making her kitten remain a kitten, and sometimes she's a beaver kitten, sometimes she's a dragon kitten. So she is sent away from her father and her siblings to live with her aunt, to go to a school that's going to help her learn how to control and utilize her wonky, quote-unquote, upside-down magic. Like I said, very simple sentence structure for an early person. It's short enough that your child could read it by themselves. If they want, I would call this like one step up from a chapter book. And it does deal with some bullying, and there is a very kind of upwards neglectful, abusive, neglectful family situation here with some, an older sibling acting like the parent. The parent is never really around, so you move to the aunt's place, and the aunt is like, we eat pizza every night type of thing. And there is a bullying issue from people who practice regular magic are bullying people who are wonky or have upside down magic. So very, very hammer in your face type of thing. It's not subtle at all. But I enjoyed it. I think, a 2nd grader would probably really enjoy it too. All right. The next one I want to talk about is Midnight for Charlie Bone. Now, Midnight for Charlie Bone came around the same time as Harry Potter. It is also from Scholastic. So Harry Potter, Upside Down Magic, and Charlie Bone are all from the same publishing company. Now, Midnight for Charlie Bone has the same early 2nd grade style, writing style as Upside Down Magic. It is very clunky, very simple sentence structures, a lot of telling. The plot is very, very simple and very, very easy to figure out. But I would not I do not 100% recommend this as a replacement for Harry Potter. Because the style is so clunky, there really is no voice. You don't really get the voice of Charlie Bone here. The Charlie Bone doesn't really have a personality. None of the characters do. It's very, very flat. The immersion is okay, but we're not really having adventures in magic school. It's like Charlie Bone is not going away for magic school. He just goes, it's like a regular school that he gets on a bus and goes to every day. It's really not, and there's no novelty factor. If Harry Potter was like kind of light and imaginative, Charlie Bone is very grim. So it's kind of almost the opposite. I made it through roughly 300 pages I was like slogging through it. Um, I'm not attached to Charlie Bone. The plot was just so simplistic that I was like, this is something a second grader could get pretty easily, so they're gonna feel really good about themselves. But it wasn't, at the same time, even though I could get it, it was not satisfying because because I could tell there was like, even though this stuff was kind of simple enough to figure out, I could tell it was not going to be all resolved in this book. And even though this book is really, really thick. And so if you're wanting to get some Charlie Bone, if Charlie Bone and his, the plot really doesn't have anything to do with him. Like, he meets this person with 3 fiery cats, and they say, like, he gets this photograph, it has a baby in it, and they're like, this guy tells him, you can find the baby and restore the baby to the rightful place, even though this is not Charlie Bone's, job. And so the entire book is trying to find this girl and restore her to her rightful family and, figure out why. I mean, it's just kind of one of those, it is kind of an adventure with a, male protag. And there's a school and, they wear capes and stuff. But this is, if you're going to do this with your child, I would suggest reading out loud and just sitting down every day and doing it, for an hour or half an hour if you want to get through it. There's 7 or 8 books in this series, so if you get into if the kid really likes it, there's plenty more. Me, I'm not going to be picking up the next one. Alright, so let's move on to another one. This is called The Marvelers. Alright, so I'm going to be honest with you right now, I didn't get really into more than a quarter of this book. The Marvelers is the main character, let me find her name, is going to be the first, Ella, is going to be the first conjurer to go to Marveler's school up in the clouds, and her aunt is going to be teaching her how to conjure while she's at Marveler's school. The conjurers and the Marvelers use 2 different sources of magic, but the Marvelers apparently can also be conjurers and have a certain, light to them. And the reason why I did not get very far in this book is it's kind of twofold. There was not enough novelty factor to keep me going. I'm not going to say it's very Harry Potter-like, but there wasn't just, I wasn't getting the novelty. I was not getting attached. There wasn't enough wonder, enough whimsy to it to get me, keep me going. I was not getting attached to Ella or any of these characters because you would meet the character and then they would leave, and you would meet that character and then they would leave, and you can only do that so many times before, you're like, can I get to the main group of characters? The story was not beginning. And then as I continued to read, I realized that the plot of what's going on, there's somebody who escapes from prison. Ella is facing discrimination because she's a conjurer at the Marveler School and people are bullying her. I realized the plot of the person escaping and the whole bullying thing that was going on had actually nothing to do with each other, and the escape of the prisoner had nothing to do with Ella herself. So the plot just was not there. I think that with some more editing and some more work, that this would be a really great kind of world. I just wish that it was not so obvious of a racism allegory. This feels like it was written to highlight racism and not as a story. That is my personal opinion. I'm writing a story about something is always very fraught. It can get very boring and very preachy very quickly. And Ella is very, very earnest, and she wants to do a good job, and she has all these dreams about perfection. And I'm just like, I'm not getting attached here because I need something she's too perfect. She doesn't have any rough edges, so she's not sticking in my mind, which is unfortunate. But this has a higher level of reading, but once again, this might be a read out loud book that you spend half an hour on every single day. you know, in a class, because it's just very, very slow and very, very, there's no, like I said, there's no satisfaction to it. There's not enough there for me as a person just to keep going. All right. The next one, A Taste of Magic. All right. So once again, this is Kiana. It is in here somewhere. I just fell into that trap, didn't I? It's a caucasity. Kiana finds out that she has magic, like her family has magic, and she's going to her local magic school, which happens to be behind her hairdresser's place. And she finds out that the school is running out of money, and that in the local community is having a baking competition, and the prize for the baking competition will be enough to help fund the school for another year or whatever. And all right, there was some novelty. I mean, you know, the whole hairdresser thing, and you know, having the caps and the wigs and, you know, make outfits and stuff, that was kind of cool, and how they made her wand was kind of interesting. This felt very authentically black. All right. Marvelers had some kind of authentic blackness to it, particularly New Orleans blackness, or New Orleans, sorry, New Orleans blackness. This has more like, I don't know, it feels like Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn blackness. But you're going, there's a difference? Yeah, I know. There is a difference, like, depending on where you are raised with that culture. But this felt more Brooklyn, New York City, and this felt more New Orleans. To me. A white girl. I know. But, so, you know, the novelty kept me going, but this is a bait and switch book. There is no real baking competition. She just makes stuff and drops it off. So you're not going to be seeing this whole, she's going and having a televised baking competition, and no, magic got into the cupcakes. Now she's gonna, you know, solve things on screen for the baking competition. This story actually revolves a lot more around her and her non-magical best friend getting mad at each other because she can't tell her non-magical best friend about magic, and she misses her birthday party, and her best friend wants to be popular, and, you know, there's mean girls and bullying, and, you know, the guy who is flashy. This is why I mean it feels more Brooklyn, Bronx. And I really felt like there was 3 or 4, 5 different plot lines here. And this could have been expanded into 3 or 4 books, really. You know, to have these character arcs in these plots that she's doing have a lot more weight to them. Really like the world. I mean, there is some satisfaction in knowing that she, you know, knowing the ending, which I'm not going to spoil. There is some satisfaction to it. It's just, it's not as immersive, let me say, as Harry Potter, and the plot's not nearly as well constructed. So, needed some editing on this one. Spell Sweeper. Okay. This is also for a more upper middle level, middle grade. Like I said, this, because you're doing an age range, it's a lot harder to, you know, instead of reading level, it's a lot, it's still middle grade, you know, she's still in that middle grade age bracket here, age 11 or 12, but the writing styles can be highly variable. So, Spell Sweeper. Okay. Kara is a mop. She has magic, but she doesn't have enough magic to do magic, so she is part of a program that helps clean up magic dust. And her family are quote-unquote blisses who don't have magic, so she's kind of like almost a scholarship kid at this school. And there's a problem going on right now where there's they call it like the field, and the field is tearing open and, you know, almost self-destructing because somebody who is not a magician is using magic when they shouldn't, and they're taking too much magic, and it's creating all these problems. And so, you know, you have a lot of, she's very resentful because she is a mop. She wants to be regular magicians, and there's stuff that regular magicians do that she as a mop should be able to do, like make potions, that she's actually very good at, but they won't allow her because she's part of the mop program. So there's some class discrimination going on there, or at least some ability discrimination going on there. And she's also being bullied, and which is not fully completely addressed in the book, at least not by the upper people like it was in Upside Down Magic. In Upside Down Magic, at least the teachers step in. Nobody seems to step in this one. And, you know, she's also having problems with her older sister, and kind of like there's another neglectful kind of family situation going on here. So you're going to see some of these themes. This one had a great novelty factor, kind of. I really liked the whole concept of the mop. There doesn't seem to be a sequel in the works, and I wish there was, because I would like to see more of these characters, basically to address what was not addressed. Finish up the sister storyline, finish up, you know, this kind of bullying storyline, you know, finish up, give some satisfaction that she can now at least go into potions class and do things and learn about the magical animals and everything. But it had a really great voice. It was very immersive. There was the novelty factor. The plot, like I said, feels a little unsatisfying because not everything was wrapped up properly, which is really kind of important in a book. I know it doesn't happen in real life, but it's kind of important in a book to at least wrap things up. And I did get attached to the main character. I really kind of liked her. Sometimes I was kind of rolling my eyes at her because some of the problems that she was having, it was like, oh, girly, you're acting 12. You know, you're acting like a preteen, a teenager. So, but good for your 5th or 6th grader, maybe a 4th grader if they're precocious. The next one is the Mystic School of Music Craft. This is also for a later middle grade reader. So Amelia Jones has always wanted to go to the Mystic School of Music Craft, and she's a flautist. This is her, and she goes in, flubs her audition, and somehow still gets it, and that's kind of a plot point, because apparently there were 2 Amelia Jones, and the other Amelia Jones died at sea, and she got that Amelia Jones's invitation, and now she is given by the head people 2 months to prove that she's a really good musician, but it feels like somebody is sabotaging her. She doesn't know who is sabotaging her. Is it somebody at the school, or is it, you know, a something else? So this one, you know, you're creating magic through music, so there's automatically the different sections of the orchestra makes the music stuff. So there is kind of like this, there is some novelty factor to it, which I was kind of really enjoying that. Her voice is really good. Once again, she's a preteen girl, so some of the stuff that's going on is, you know, might make you roll your eyes. What really frustrated me about this one was Grandma, because Grandma, you know, supported her mother going to Mystic and got her like the best instruments and the best teachers, but she's not supporting her granddaughter going to Mystic. And so she basically tries to sabotage her granddaughter's love of music at every single turn, which maybe it hits too close to home, I don't know, but it kind of, you know, really frustrates me. And it does provide, it's basically false conflict, because we wouldn't have a book if she wasn't going to go to the Mystic School of Music Craft. And so she basically, there is some stakes in here to provide that sort of tension. I don't know what it is, but this one has hazing. Charlie Bone has hazing. There is there is a theme of kind of hazing in some of these books, which is really uncomfortable as well. But so, you know, and this is her roommate who at first doesn't like her, but, you know, because she thinks that, you know, whoever's sabotaging her might be the other Amelia Jones, who was her best friend. She's like willing to work with her to, yeah. Anyway, so I really enjoyed this one. This one does have a sequel called The Midnight Orchestra, so I might pick up the sequel to see if it's, you know, just is, you know, continues to be good. But unfortunately, well, I made a prediction because I am who I am, and my prediction turned out to be right. Oh, this one also, what I really like about this one was this one has full-length pictures in it. Full-page pictures, which is really great to help you, you know, if you're like me and you don't see pictures in your head. This lets you see, you know, the pictures on the page, lets you give you some idea of what the author is trying to tell you, I guess. So if you like pictures in your books, this one will be good for you. Right. And now, I saved the best for last. The one that I think is the most similar to Harry Potter, and if you have a kid who loves Harry Potter, or you want an alternative to Harry Potter from an author who is apparently not Rowling and her issues, I would recommend Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow. This was actually the last one to come in. It's like, what are you doing to me? Why? So, Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow. And Morgan Crow is considered a cursed child, and she's going to die on her 11th birthday. But she is whisked away by a man named Jupiter North to the magical dimension world of Nevermore, where she will become a wondrous society, where she has a chance to become part of the wondrous society. And this entire book is basically a version of the Goblet of Fire. She has to go through 3 different trials to prove to the society, the wondrous society, that she belongs there. So she makes a best friend who is a dragon rider. They get into trouble, and she lives in a magical hotel. So kind of like a little bit of Hotel Transylvania in there too, but she lives in a magical hotel, and you know, she keeps running across Mr. Jones, who also wants her to become his apprentice, because he thinks that she has a great gift as well. So she has this choice. Does she, you know, go with Mr. Jones to become an apprentice to Ezra Squall, who is a very powerful man where she grew up in Jackleton, or does she stay in Nevermore and become part of the wondrous society? So Morgan Crow has a really great voice. My librarian was looking at it and she's like, this is like for a 6th grader. Personally, if you have a precocious 4th grader, I would say trying to get somebody into this about 4th grade. It's because it has that kind of whimsical Harry Potter feel to it. I feel like if you're waiting till 6th grade to give them to this, they're not going to be as interested anymore. I just want to say whimsical in the fact that, for instance, the hotel has a smoking room. But it's not a room where, you know, gentlemen go to smoke. It's a room that actually pumps out different smells of smoke to help relax people. You know, sage, rosemary, lavender. During Christmas time, it's like candy cane and gingerbread. And, you know, there's chamomile to help you calm down. So that's the type of whimsy I'm talking about. Like, there's a room in the hotel where if you do puppet shadows, they come to life, and things like that. So it's a very whimsical novel type of thing that will keep you turning pages because you want to know where are they going to go in the hotel next, what is she going to see in Nevermore next, what's going to be the next trial, is she going to make it, oh my god, is she going to go through all the trials and make it into the Wondrous Society, you know, what does Mr. Jones want, really, what's going on with the Gossamer line type of thing. So there is a lot of voice immersion, novelty, plot, attachment, and satisfaction at the end of the book because you get a lot of questions answered, you know, and there's like a few questions in. Now, this series currently has 3 books out. The 4th book is supposed to be coming out in September, and she has 9 books planned. That is, what, 2 more than Harry? Was it 7 or 8? 7, yes. So that's 2 more than Harry Potter are planned. I believe she's Australian, and yeah, she lives on the Sunshine Coast, and she will be, she is going through Hatchet to do this. So I'm just hoping that the books start coming out more regularly after this. So I will definitely be picking up Hollowpox and I think the other one was Wondrous something or other. So I will be picking up the 2nd and 3rd books of these to read. I was very, very pleased with this one. So, alright, so Nevermore. The Mystic School of Musicraft. Recommend. Spell Sweeper. Also recommend. Do I wish those 2 had sequels? A Taste of Magic. Sort of recommend. Wish I had a better plot. The Marvelers. If you're reading this out loud, I would recommend it because then you can like just go through it day by day, you know, kind of have a set reading time. But there you go. Same for Midnight for Charlie Bone. Once again, I think this would be more of a read out loud book rather than, you know, sit down and read it in one go book, just because the pacing is slow. Let me put it that way. Upside Down Magic, which is really great for, you know, your 2nd grader to read by themselves. Very simple and has, you know, kind of like a satisfying little plot with a little tension. Will she stay with Upside Down Magic or not? Alright. All of this to try to find alternatives for Harry Potter. Okay, so I really hope that helps. If you're looking for a young adult alternative to Harry Potter, the only recommendation I can give you right now is Scholomance by Naomi Novak. I blasted through that in 3 or 4 days. I had to wait for the last one. I had the first 2 and didn't realize it was a trilogy, so I had to like go online on Saturday and order it and hope it got there quickly. So if you're looking for a young adult alternative, a later young adult alternative, almost new adult, would be the Scholomance trilogy. You know, she's going to the Scholomance, and the Scholomance tries to kill everybody, and you know, she kills a Maulmouth, and things are happening outside the school that, you know, they're only finding out as new kids come in, etc. and so on. Everything's very well plotted out, very, very good voice. I got very attached to everybody. I was very immersed in the world. It had novelty to it, you know, because it was kind of like this almost steampunk school in another dimension. That was really cool. The plot was really well constructed from beginning to end. I want to say Naomi Novak's an outliner and a planner, but you know, don't quote me on that. And it was very, very satisfying. I know some people are like, "Oh, the ending is cheesy," but I'm like, it's a late young adult, early new adult book. Yes, the ending's gonna be cheesy, and I was very happy with the ending because, you know, I want good endings, I want hopeful endings, type of thing. So that's if you're looking for something for a young adult. That's an alternative to Harry Potter. Go with the Scholomance. I'm not gonna try to be doing young adult alternatives to Harry Potter. One, because you're going to end up running into a lot of indie stuff, and I do not have the wherewithal to go through that. And there isn't honestly a great deal of young adult magical school. Um, because Harry Potter came out at that weird time where, you know, the night once young adults started going up, getting popular, they headed straight into dystopian. It was really like they skipped doing magical school stuff because Harry Potter was really coming up during that same time, so nobody was willing to like do this alternative to it, and then um, they just went headfirst into dystopian nonsense. I mean, I suppose what Rachel means the Vampire Academy could be considered an alternative to Harry Potter, but I don't know. So I really hope that helps if you were looking, if you're a parent or if you're somebody who's looking for an alternative to Harry Potter because of Rowling's, what's going on with Rowling, or if you're just looking for, you know, something to read that's not that's like Harry Potter, but you know, because you want something that is, you know, in that same genre. I hope this video helps you. Take care of yourselves, my lovelies. Bless, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video.